Hello and welcome to number 2 lesson on fractions, decimals and percentages. Today we're just going to use what we know about equivalent fractions to be able to add two fractions together. To start off with, we'll have a little recap on the last lesson, which was finding equivalent fractions. So here's our recap. Remember, you can pause this video at any time and you can attempt the questions and then play the video to see how you got on. Let's start with the first question though. What I'd like to know is, can you come up with any equivalent fractions to 1/3? So pause the video now and let's see if you came up with any. So here we go. Some of you will remember that I had to say we multiply by 2, so you get 2/6, or you can multiply by 3 to get 3/9. You can multiply by 4 and you get 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. You can multiply by 5 and you'd get 5/15. You can multiply by 6 and you get 6/18. But by now I'm hoping that you can sort of get the idea. If I was to multiply by 7, I'd get 7/21. Well, while we've got this one about, and remember each one of these clouds is an equivalent fraction. That means of the same size, just with bigger numbers. What I'm going to ask you to do now is think about this fraction on the right hand side that I'm about to write. The fraction is 2/5, and what I'd like you to do is come up with a few more equivalent fractions from this one. So pause the video, give yourself a few more equivalent fractions and see if you did the same as me. I'm starting off by just writing my times bits in for you. You can do the same or come up with your own ones. Pause the video now and then unpause it to see how you got on. Right, so multiplied by 2 you get 4/10, multiplied by 3 and you get 6/15. Multiply by 4 and you get 8/20. Multiply by 5 and you get 10/25. Multiply by 6 and you get 12/30. That's a 30, sorry, there you go. And if you multiply by 7 you get 14/35. Now I'm just going to put them in clouds so that you can see where they are. And if you can remember from our lesson in class, we were looking to see if any of the equivalent fractions that we've made have the same denominator. Remember, denominator is a special word for the number on the bottom. So if we have a look at this number here, this fraction has a 15 on the bottom, as does this one here. There are others, if you can, because remember you can multiply by any number, but we're going to just have a look at this fraction here and this fraction here on the next example. So here is the next example, and we're going to continue from the previous one where we had 1/3, and we're going to add it to 2/5. Now here's a very important note, so I'm going to do this in a bubble here. We can only add fractions if they have the same denominator. Which is the number on the bottom. So, as you can see, these two don't have the same number on the bottom. So I need to think of an equivalent fraction for this number, for this fraction, and an equivalent fraction for this number, so that they have the same number on the bottom. Well, if we go back to the previous slide, you can see we've already worked out the ones that have the same denominator on the bottom. You told me that 1/3 is the same as 5/15, and you've told me 2/5 is the same as 6/15. And when we add them together, it's quite simple now. Because they've got the same number on the bottom, all we have to do, if you have a look, the same number on the bottom, is 5 plus 6 is 11, but the number on the bottom stays the same. So our answer is 11/15. And let's have a look at example 2, where we haven't got the same number on the bottom. In fact, this time I'm going to make it a little bit more tricky. I'm going to have 2/7, and we're going to add it to 2/9. Now it looks a bit horrible, but what I'm hoping you can see from this one is that in order to get the 15 on the bottom, we times by 5, and in order to get the 15 on the bottom here, we times by 3. Well, it's no coincidence that this is your 3 and this is your 5. Oh, so let's have a look at this one. Here's our fraction, 2 of them. I know that I'm going to look for a number so that the denominators are the same, because at the moment they're not the same. But remember, these numbers are really important. If I go back to this one, 3 times 5 is 15. Well, the 5 was the other fraction, so 7 times 9 is 63, and 9 times 7 is 63. Now, this is where we have to remember the number on the top. So 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 times 7 is 14. When we add them together, 18 plus 14 is 32, and the number on the bottom stays the same, 63. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you enough time to pause the video, make notes, and see if you can answer these 2 questions. So just 2 questions, question 1 and question 2. What I'm looking for you to do here is add together 2/7 and 1/5, and for this one add together 4/5 and 7/9. Remember, pause the video, give yourself as much time as you need, answer the questions and bring it into class.